Alright, so we're continuing on with Lesson 9, Part 2. I'm starting on page 151, and where we need to go is to our Excel book. Go ahead and type in 151, and it says that we need to open up '09 Critical Care Expenses. So let's go to our folder. Data files '09 Critical Care Expenses. Okay, and it says to save this lesson in your workbook Lesson 9 folder. So I'm going to go to my Lesson 9 folder right there and just add the word solution at the end. Save. We're going to be using auto outline. So Excel can detect when and why you set up your workbook like this. So when you auto outline a table or a worksheet full of tables, it creates groups automatically and spares you the trouble. So it says to select cell H14. And on the Home tab in the font group, we're going to click the bold button. And then in the editing group, we're going to click the auto sum button. Okay, and it automatically totals up our expenses there. Go ahead and press enter. The grand total appears in the bold in the cell. It says repeat the grand total process for H24. So I'm going to press the bold button and come over here, press the auto sum button and press enter. So you should have 1,634 in cell H14, and in H24 you should have $1,041.10. Okay, step 5 says to click the data tab, and then in the outline group, oh whoops, I skipped a step. Select the cell range B6 through H24. Okay, then click the data tab. And then in the outline group, we're going to choose auto, click the drop down arrow next to group, and we're going to choose auto outline. As shown in figure 9-23, Excel automatically groups rows 8 through 13. Okay, you can see this right here, 8 through 13, and rows 18 through 23, having spotted the total expense row along the bottom of each cluster. Excel also groups together the columns for March 20th through 24th, or through row 24, and in column C through G, having spotted the weekly totals column along the right. Okay, so pause, save, and we're going to leave this open. Okay, next we're going to be collapsing groups of data in an outline. So use the same document, and we're going to click all 3 minus signs. Okay, minus, minus, and minus right there. The worksheet should now appear shrunken, just like the grand total cells you to just the grand total cells you created with the appropriate labels. Okay, and it says to click any of the plus boxes to expand the group to which it's attached. To remove an outline entirely, we're going to go to the outline group, and then we're going to click the ungroup button, drop down arrow, and choose clear outline. Okay, it says pause, close the workbook, leave Excel open. So pause, we're going to save, and then you can close the workbook, and we're going to open up a new document next. So I'm just going to go here, and we're going to choose '09 server usage stats. Okay, I'm going to go back over here, close this one, always click enable editing. I'm going to slide it over. It says to save the workbook in the Excel Lesson 9 folder. So we're going to go File, Save As, find our Lesson 9 folder. We're going to add solution to the end of the name. And step 2 says to select the range A6 through G141. So we gotta go all the way to the end there. Okay, and it says to click the Data tab. And in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Sort. Okay, in the Sort dialog box, in the Sort by Line, we're going to choose Date. And then make sure it says Oldest to Newest, and we're going to click OK. Alrighty, then on the Data tab in the Outline group, we're going to click Subtotal. Okay, the Subtotal dialog box appears. It says in the At Each Change in List box, we're going to choose choose Department. And then, if necessary, in the Use Function List box, make sure it says Sum. In the list of columns marked Add Subtotal to, select Average Bandwidth, Data In, Data Out, and Transactions. It says to check the summary below data and replace with current subtotals, and then if necessary, go ahead and compare your dialog box to the settings and then click OK. Excel inserts subtotal rows for each company division, grouping together data consumption values for all 3 corporate regions. It places each of these division row clusters into groups. It then creates a broader group for the entire range and adds a grand total row at the bottom. The result is a subtotal endowed worksheet with a 3-tier outline. Okay, so it added in our grand total at the bottom, and it added all these different tiers of outlines. As you can see right here, if you click on the 1, 2, and the 3, okay, you can see that there. It says to pause, save, and close the workbook. So save, close the workbook, and we're going to leave Excel open. I'm just going to close out of that, and it says that next we're going to be setting up data in a table format. Okay, so we're going to open up 09 Pet Pharma Sales. And it says we're going to go ahead and enable our editing, slide that over, and it tells me to save it in my Lesson 9 folder. So I'm going to go to Lesson 9, Pet Pharma Sales, August, Solution. Save. Alright, so we need to make sure we're in the August sales worksheet, and we're going to select the data range A6 through K93. Okay, and then on the Home tab in the Styles group, we're going to click Format as Table. Excel brings up a colorful menu full of sample layouts. We're going to click the sample in row 4, column 2, which is Table Style Medium 2. The Format as dialog box appears. Because the cell reference under where is the data for your table is accurate, you don't need to make any changes. So you want to make sure it says A6 to K93. Tells us though to take note, you can change the format of a table at any time using the formats as table command. You only see the format as table dialog box the first time you format a table, which effectively changes a standard range to a table. Afterwards, you only need to select a cell inside the table to tell Excel which table you want to reformat. So we're going to click OK in this dialog box. Excel converts the data range into a formal table and applies the style you chose, which includes automatically banded rows so that it maintains their banded rows even when the rows become sorted. And auto filter controls are also added to the field names. So auto filters are up here. You should see the banded rows. To automatically boldface the rightmost column in the table, which is total sales, click any cell inside the table. And then on the design, so we could even click over here. On the design tab in the table style options group, we're going to click last column. Okay, so even if I'm not clicked over here, if I click last column, it will bold that total row. The table style options group also contains an option for banding columns instead of rows. For example, you could uncheck banded rows from this group and check banded columns. So I could uncheck banded rows and I could check banded columns and it would change that. For this situation though, I'd rather have it look like this. Okay, so pause, save your workbook, and leave it open for the next exercise. Next, we're going to remove styles from my table. So we're going to save this document as, in our Lesson 9 folder, as Pet Pharma Sales August Solution 2. Save. It says in the August sales worksheet, click anywhere inside the table. So I'm just going to click anywhere. And on the design tab, in the table styles group, we're going to click the more arrow. Or if you see only the quick styles button, we're going to come down and we're going to click the clear button. The automatic formatting is removed. To change the table style to something that contains that contrasts against the others in the series, click the more down arrow and we're going to choose Table Style Light 17. Which is this one right here. It's this red one. Okay, to automatically apply boldface to the rightmost column in the table style options group, we're going to check last column, make sure that's checked. To do the same to the leftmost column, we're going to click the first column button. Okay, now this one is also bolded. It says to pause, save the workbook, and leave it open to use the next exercise. Next, it talks about defining a title for a table. So, adding a table name field. Alrighty. So, take note, it says Excel recognizes 4 constants that refer to the same general area of a table, which you may use here where applicable to replace a field name. So we have table name and then we have field names. We have field names up here at the top and we're going to be adding in a table name. Alright, so it says to save the workbook in your Lesson 9 folder, so we're going to go to File, Save As. Lesson 9, changing the name to Pet Farm and Sales August Solution 3. Okay, in the August sales worksheet, we're going to click anywhere inside the table. And it says that on the Design tab, in the Properties group, click the text box under Table Name, and we're going to type Drug Sales. All one word, and press Enter. You have given a name to the table. Now you can replace the strange looking formulas at the bottom of the August sales worksheet with formulas that are easier to read yet yield the same result. Okay, so scroll down. In cell D97, which is total sales, okay, look at how confusing this formula is. Okay, we're going to type the equal sign sum tab DR, okay, and drug sales should pop up in the list. We're going to press the tab key and type the left bracket. So we want to put a parentheses there and then, oops, let's see. No, we're just going to put in the square bracket. Use the arrow key to select total sales. So I'm going to tab it down until I find total sales, press tab, put in the right square bracket, followed by a parentheses sign. And we're going to press enter. Okay. If you entered the formula properly, the result should be identical to what was there before. And next we're going to replace the formula. So it made it a little less confusing. So we're summing up the entire drug sales worksheet and we're calculating total sales. Alright, which is our column over here to the right. Okay, so that's how that formula worked. Let's see. Now in cell D98, ooh, whoops, I put that in the wrong column. Okay, in D98, we're going, so all I did was just moved it up one. We're going to type in this formula. So, okay, I'm just going to fix that, use the format painter there. Alright, so equal sign sum if, there it is, hit the tab key, and we're going to find drug sales, hit the tab key, square bracket, we're going to do to treat, square bracket, comma, dog, quotation mark, comma, drug sales, once again, square bracket, total sales, square bracket, and a larger parentheses. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we're figuring out the drug sales to treat column for dogs only and drug sales total sales. So we're calculating sales of dog only products. So it's taking the word dog out of here and calculating how much sales were matched up with the dog products. Okay, It says to pause, save, leave the workbook open. So I'll hit save. Next, we're going to use the total row command in the table. So it says to select any cell inside your table. Excel adds the design tab to the ribbon. Okay. And with the August sales worksheet active on the design tab in this table styles options group, we're going to select total row. Excel adds a total row to the bottom with a label in the leftmost column and the grand total in the rightmost column, which is over here. It says to widen the total sales column to distribute or to display the information, so I'm going to double click. It says to add other subtotals or formulas to the total row. You can choose one of the drop down menu. One from the drop down menu. Click the cell in the total row at the bottom of the item price column, and then it says to click the down arrow that appears to the right of the blank cell. In the pop-up menu, we're going to click average. Excel calculates the average price per sale item. Okay, and then it says repeat the process to find the maximum number of items sold in one order by choosing max. So we're going to click the drop down arrow and choose max. Okay. Oh, whoops. Change that back to average. We want to do that for numbers sold. We're going to choose max. Okay, pause, save the workbook, and leave it open to use the next exercise. Next, we're going to be adding and removing rows or columns in a table. So we want to File, Save As. In our Lesson 9 folder, change the name to Pet Pharma Sales August Solution 4. And in the August sales worksheet, we're going to select cell A88. Alright, A88 is right here. Should be the drug column. On the Home tab in the Cells group, we're going to click the Insert drop-down arrow, and in the menu, we're going to click Insert Table Rows Above. Okay, and we're going to type the following values into cell A88 through F88. So, siloxane, hyperthyroidism, dog or cat, and then 7 tab 20 tab 2 tab. Note that the value in the items on hand is automatically updated because Excel copies the formula into the new row. So there's a formula in there. It says to select cell H88, which is items remaining, should be right here, and type in the value 41. Okay, when we do that, I-88 numbers of, or I-88 is updated. It says to select cell J88, which is the item price column, and type in a value of $25.95. Okay, when I do that, K88 is automatically updated, and it says to select, next we're going to select any cell in row 32. So find row 32, I'm going to click right there. And on the Home tab in the Cells group, we're going to click the Delete drop-down arrow, and in the menu, we're going to click Delete Table Row. Okay. Row 32 is deleted and the table shrinks to fit. It says to select any cell in column I, number sold, and then on the Home tab in the Cells group, we're going to click the Delete drop-down arrow and we're going to choose Delete Table Columns. Okay. Column I is removed, and for the time being, reference errors are generated throughout the total sales column, which contains formulas that refer to numbers sold. So with a cell in column I still selected, which it should be, we're going to click the down arrow next to Insert in the Cells group. And we're going to click Insert Table Columns to the left. Okay, and then it says change the header in cell I6 to say number sold. So number sold. And in I7, we're going to enter the following formula. Equal sign, square bracket, items on hand, right square bracket, minus square bracket, items remaining, square bracket. Okay, and then it says to use the menus and display when you type each left bracket to expedite your entry. Notice when you press enter that Excel automatically copies the formula down the remainder of the column. So we're going to press enter, and automatically, without even using the fill handle, column I is refilled. Okay, says step 15 says to click in cell K7. Alright, and we're going to enter in the following formula. Equal sign, square bracket, number sold, square bracket, times square bracket, item price. Use your arrows and hit the tab key, right bracket, and we're going to go ahead and press enter. Okay. This time when you press enter, Excel does not fill the formula down the column because it will not autofill over non-blank cells. So fill the new total sales formula down to cell 93. So we're going to use autofill. Alright, there we go, to cell 93. Make sure to stop short of the total row. The grand total formula in cell K94 is now fixed. We're going to, step 17 says to click in cell L7. So that would be right here. Just outside the table, we're going to enter in the following formula. Equal sign, square bracket, total sales, square bracket, divided by average, parentheses, square bracket. Here, I'm going to scroll over a little bit. Oh, it won't let me. Whoops. Square bracket, total. Total sales, square bracket, parentheses. Okay, it says that notice you don't see menus displayed this time because the active cell is not inside the table. After you press enter, Excel not only creates the formula but extends the table one column to the right and copies the formula down the entire column L. For now, Excel gives the new column the temporary name column 1. It says to rename the new column percent of average. Hit enter, and it says to select the range L7 through L93. And give the range a percent style. So all I gotta do is click on this percent button. Okay. Excel does not automatically copy custom cell styles down a column, so you must select the range manually first. Note how Excel has moved the last table column's boldface format from total sales to percent of average. Click in any cell in the percent of average, and then we're going to click the drop down arrow next to delete. We're going to choose delete table columns. It says to pause, save your workbook, and leave it open to use the next exercise. Alright, next we are to filter records in a table. Alright, we're on page 160. So it says that in the sales worksheet, we're going to click total sales drop down arrow, and in the menu we're going to point to number filters, and we're going to click top 10. The top 10 auto filter dialog box appears. It says to leave the choices set at top 10, and then we're going to click OK. The table is filtered down to the top 10 items with the highest sales. As shown, and should look similar to this figure right here. I don't know why that one's off. Okay, we're going to keep going. It says pause, save, and close the workbook, and leave Excel open for the next exercise. I'm just going to close out of this one. Okay, for me it's easier to do it that way. And it tells me to reopen 09 Owner's Solution. So we got to go back to our folder, Lesson 9, and we're going to choose 09 Owner's Solution. It says to save the workbook in Excel Lesson 9 folder as Owner's Solution 2. Save. Okay, it tells me to select the range A1 through G73. And on the Home tab in the Styles group, we're going to click Format as a Table. and we're going to choose table style medium 14, which is this green one right here. Okay, and it says in the format as table dialog box, we're going to click OK. And because this range contains data appended from an outside source that we made earlier, the query data related to that outside source is still attached to the range. We're going to click yes to this dialog box and to have Excel remove those connections. With the table still selected, we're going to click the name box and we're going to rename this, oops, we got to go over here. Table name. We're going to name this table owners. Don't use the name box right here. And click enter. Okay, it says to change the font for the entire table to Cambria. So we gotta find Cambria. Font size 11. And it says to resize the columns as necessary to fit the data. So go through and resize each of these. Okay, step 8 says to left justify column G. We're going to come over here. Left justify column G. We're going to click on the alignment arrow here. So to left justify, we're going to click the launcher for alignment. And then under horizontal, you're going to choose left. And then justify. And then click OK. With any cell in the owner's table selected, so I'm just going to click anywhere inside here. It says to click the data tab, and then in the sort and filter group, we're going to click sort. The sort dialog box appears. In the sort by list, we're going to choose last name, and then we're going to click on add level. And then by the list box that appears under column, we're going to choose first name and then click OK. Oh, whoops, okay. I accidentally chose first name there. It should be last name and then by first name, then click OK. So it should be sorted by last name and first name. So for instance, names where we have the same last name, their name should be sorted down here as well. Alright. It says pause, save the workbook, and leave it open for the next exercise. Alright, we're on the bottom of page 161. Step by step, we're going to change the sort order in a table. So with the active cell in the owner's table, just click in any cell. We're going to go to the data tab, and in the sort and filter group, click the sort button. In the sort dialog box, we're going to click delete level and then delete level again to remove the existing sort order, and click add level, and then we're going to sort by zip code and then click OK. Okay, so now it's sorted based on zip code. Pause, save, leave the database open or leave it open for the next exercise. Next, we're going to remove duplicates in a table. So click in any cell inside the table, and on the Design tab, in the Tools group, we're going to click Remove Duplicates. The Remove Duplicates dialog box lets you determine how much of a record needs to be duplicated before it qualifies as a duplicate. For instance, 2 or more customers might have the same name, though they probably don't share the same zip, same address, phone, or phone number. So in the columns list, we're going to uncheck city, state, and zip. Okay, and then click OK. Excel shows a dialog box reporting how many duplicate entries were removed. Click OK to dismiss. So we should have had 17 duplicates removed. It says to pause, save, and close the workbook, leaving Excel open. Alright, next we're going to use a slicer to view table data. So we need to open up 09 Pharma Sales Solution 4. Okay, and we're going to save the workbook in your Lesson 9 folder as Pharma Sales Solution 5. And then it says to click in any cell inside the table and click the Data tab. And then in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Clear. So you need to know that a slicer is a feature that makes a table more easily accessible to a novice user. It's a selection panel that floats above the worksheet. That way the chart, the way that a chart does. Okay, so in the Design tab, and then in the Tools group, we're going to click the Insert Slicer button. The Insert Slicer dialog box contains empty checkboxes for each of the fields to which you want to create buttons. Click the For Use On and To Treat checkbox. Click OK. The 2 slicer tools appear as graphic objects in the center of the worksheet. They're not actually inside the table. Relocate the For Use On slicer by dragging its title bar towards the upper right of the worksheet. As you drag towards the edge of the window, the worksheet automatically scrolls to reveal a space where you can drop the slicer. Drop the slicer when it's to the right of the table, just beneath the header rows. So about right there. Repeat the process for To Treat. Okay, we're going to drop that down there. The worksheet should look similar to the figure on 9-32. To see just the treatments that apply for dogs only, click on Dog. Okay, and now dogs are the only items available to be seen. Alright, to show just the treatments that apply to the endocrine, click Endocrine. Note that the filters for both slicers apply simultaneously, so you should see endocrine system treatment for dogs only. The slicer highlights only the criterion in use for the current filter. To clear the filters using the slicers, click the Clear Filters button in the upper right hand corner, which are these buttons right here. It says to pause, save, and close the workbook. can leave Excel open for use in the next. Next, we're on the bottom of page 164, converting a table to a range. So we need to open up O9 Customer Solution. Always click Enable Content. Okay, near the top of this Excel window, if necessary, respond to any security warnings and click Enable Content. It says to save the workbook in your Lesson 9 folder as O9 Customer Solution 2. It says to click inside any cell in the table, and then on the Design tab, in the Tools group, we're going to click Convert to Range. Excel opens a dialog box to verify this conversion is what you want. We're going to click OK. The filter buttons are removed from the header row and entries are sorted as they were. Subtotals and total rows remain if applicable, and formatting is left as it was. The Design tab is no longer visible. So Design tab's gone. The drop down filter buttons have been removed. Okay, it says to pause, save, close the workbook, and leave Excel open. Next, we're going to go to our next data file, O9 4 Strong Tour Revenues. Okay, we're going to be recording a basic macro. This is kind of some important information, saving work with macros. In Excel, a basic macro is a recording of a sequence of commands and typed entries that you can replay elsewhere in the worksheet. Macros enable you to perform the same sequence of commands in different places, cutting down the time it takes to complete redundant work. So what makes a recorded macro useful is that the fact that it can be replayed on whatever cell is the active cell. A recorded macro is a series of steps that can be repeated and that you might want to repeat frequently to save you time. So once we have this O9 4 Strong Tours Revenue open, click the File tab, and let's click Enable Editing first. Click the File tab, and then we're going to click Options. And in the Excel Options dialog box, we're going to click Customize Ribbon. And in the Main Tabs list, we want to click the plus sign next to Developer. And we're going to check the box next to Developer over here as well. Okay. This will enable you to more easily record macros. We're going to click OK. Okay, you should see that you have a Developer tab up here in the top. So the macro that you record creates a custom subtotal row at the place you define, rather than at some place Excel determines. The rule you follow is that the user, you, must select the cell where you want the subtotal to appear and then run the macro. So to prepare for recording, click cell D21. Alright, says to click the Developer tab, and then in the Code group we're going to find the Use Relative References. If it is not already highlighted, click to select it. You want relative references for this macro. In the Code group, we're going to click Record Macro. In the record macro dialog box, click the macro name and type custom subtotals. And in the shortcut key, we're going to type a capital S. This changes the shortcut key to Control plus Shift plus S. Leave store macro and set to this workbook. The record macro dialog box should now appear as shown in figure 9-33. So it should look something like that. We're going to click OK. It says you are now recording a macro. Press the Shift down arrow and then click the Home tab. And then in the cells group, we're going to click the Insert arrow and we're going to click Insert Sheet Rows. And then press the Shift up arrow. Troubleshooting, it says if you mess up a step during a macro recording, don't worry. You can click Stop Recording in the Code group of the Developer tab. Then start again from step 6. Use the same name, and when Excel asks whether you want to overwrite the existing macro with the same name, respond with yes. So it says that in the editing group, we're going to click the Auto Sum button. It says to do not press enter yet. We're going to then, in the clipboard group, click copy and then press tab. Type in the partial formula =, max, parentheses, and then we're going to click the paste button and put the end parentheses and press tab. It says to press the left arrow key, and then we're going to click the $sign in the accounting number group. Okay, and then it says to click the Developer tab and click Stop Recording. Okay, so now that you're not recording, adjust the width of column E to fit its contents. And as figure 9-34 shows, the macro generates a total column, a total for the bottom of the arbitrary cluster of records, and also tabulates the highest value in that cluster and the cell adjacent to the subtotal. We're going to click the File tab and click Save As. And then in Backstage, locate Lesson 9. And we're going to, in the Save As dialog box, choose Excel Macro Enabled Workbook. And save the workbook as 049 Revenues Solution. Click OK. If we see a message that pops up, we're going to click OK. Alright, and then pause, save the workbook, and leave it open. Alright, so next we're on page 166, Managing Macro Security. So on the Developer tab, in the Code group, we're going to click Macro Security, and then in the Trust Center, we're going to click Disable all macros with notification to have Excel warn you whenever an open workbook contains macros, enabling you to turn those macros on or off based on your decision. Click OK. And then it says to close and save. Close the workbook. We'll just hit save. And close the workbook. And then close Excel. Alright, you are done with lesson 9. Yay! Go ahead and you can begin working on the knowledge assessment and then working on these 2 projects.